Welcome to the Leverage Show, episode number 1. I'm Brett Ingram, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a business owner. I'm also a husband and a father. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I see a lot of people that start businesses, and the reason they start businesses is to have a better life, to make more money, to have more freedom, to be able to do the things that you want to do. But unfortunately, the reality for most people, for most business owners that I talk to, is that they end up giving up their life for their business. Instead of it being something where they have more freedom, it's actually the opposite. They have less freedom and more stress. And I want to help you turn that around. I know that it takes a lot of courage, it takes a lot of motivation and guts to start a business and to run a business. And I want to help you get the financial security, the freedom, and the lifestyle that drove you to do that in the first place. I mean, look, as business owners, we all have too much time, too much things to do, and not enough time. And if you have friends that work a job or that have a different kind of career, even if they're busy, even if they're workaholics and everything else, they don't quite understand because for them, it's still somebody else that writes their paycheck, right? When you own a business, it's part of you, but more than part of you, it's also something that you're codependent on because you can't just quit the business tomorrow unless you had a job to go do. And then you have all your emotions wrapped up into it also. It's a very personal thing. In some ways, it's almost like having children or having a child. Um, Being a father and having owned multiple businesses, I can tell you that, for if one doesn't go well or whatever, and you have to pull the plug, it's a really, really difficult emotional type of decision because you pour so much of yourself into it in addition to all of the other stuff. And I just don't think for most business owners, there's a lot of separation between your business and your life, and my goal and what's important for me and why I'm doing this is because I want you to know that you're not alone, that we're in this together, and that as business owners, we need to bond together, we need to support each other, and we need to make sure that, we help support and push each other because at the end of the day, it takes a lot to start a business and you deserve to be rewarded for that. If you have the courage, if you have the guts and the drive to say, you know what, I'm going to go and I'm going to do this and I'm going to strike out on my own, then you deserve to be successful. You deserve to have a better life, not a worse one. And so, that's really what the focus is going to be. And so I want to help you find ways to grow your business while also enjoying your life. I mean, what a concept, right? Instead of feeling like, okay, well, I can either grow my business and run my business, or I can live my personal life. I mean, we've all been there. I've had 16-hour days. I've had 18-hour days. I've had months and even years where it was really difficult for me to have any sort of a work-life balance. If I was doing anything outside the office, right, or outside of my business, I was feeling as though I had this other stuff that was more important to do and I couldn't wait just to get back to it. And that's terrible because you can't even enjoy things. I mean, you're with your friends, you're with your family, and all you're thinking about is, well, when I get back, I've got to do this report and I've got to get that done and this proposal out or whatever it is. And I just think that that's, not the way you want to go. You want to be able to be in a situation where your business is profitable, where it can run sort of on its own, even without you. I mean, you steer the ship, but you don't have to be there all the time to row the oars. And also that you can have the time to do the things that you want to do because that's ultimately what it's all about. And so for today, I just want to share 5 simple things that I do. And, these are things that you may have heard before. These are things that it isn't necessarily reinventing the wheel, but what's important is I think that when you have somebody else that that does something or that reinforces an idea. I know in my life, a lot of times I've heard something and I've said, yeah, whatever. And then some time goes by, and then I talk to somebody else and they tell me they're doing it. And then I talk to somebody else and they're doing it. And then I start to think, well, geez, maybe there is something to this after all. Okay. I'm going to tell you that, my history, I've been in business over 20 years. I've owned multiple businesses. I've had brick and mortar, I've had online. I've also worked for small businesses, larger businesses, and I've talked to tons of different business owners of all different kinds of business in different industries. And the things that I want to share with you are universal. So it doesn't really matter what your situation is. These things will unequivocally help you if you take them to heart and you do them. So the first thing, real simple, is eat a healthy breakfast. And, it sounds funny, but breakfast is the start of the day. And if you like junk food, I love junk food. I could probably eat drive-through stuff all the time, although I know better, so I don't. But I was in a bad habit. I was very, very busy, and I would just sort of run out and grab whatever I needed. And then, what I found was I kind of feel sluggish to start the day. And I'm thinking to myself, it's just the start of the workday, and I'm already exhausted. I don't even want to do anything. And what I did was I switched and I started eating like just a banana, a glass of water, granola bar, stuff like that. I'm not a big breakfast eater, but whether you eat a lot or a little, if you eat something healthy, at least for that meal, it just gives you a completely different setup emotionally to your day. You start with energy because you feel good about yourself for having eaten well. That's part of it. It's a self esteem issue, it's a motivational issue. You don't have this hockey puck sitting in your stomach. Um, so it's simple and it doesn't really matter what it is, but try to eat something healthy. And then exercise. Again, I try to do it in the morning. I don't know, depending on what your schedule is, you may or may not be able to do it. And I don't mean hardcore, like you got to go crazy or become a gym rat or anything like that. I mean, even 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 4 times a week, 5 times a week if you can do it. Yoga, Pilates, running, treadmill, biking, weights, whatever it is. When you work out, you start to take care of your body too, because here's the thing, and this is what's really important with it all. Just like we talked about your life and your business being connected, your body and the rest of your life, are your mind, and all of those things are connected as well. And if you take care of your body, then your mind is sharper, everything's clearer, it's easier to do the things that you need to do. And so I think it's really important, I do, to do some sort of exercise because, again, no matter what shape you're in now, I can tell you from personal experience, when I have been too busy to work out, what ends up ultimately happening is I feel like crap. I don't want to do anything because I don't have any energy. And people think, well, if I work out, it's going to take my energy, it's going to take my time. Actually, the reverse is true. Now, the first week, first 2 weeks, it might wear you down a little bit if you're not used to exercising, but keep at it. And what ultimately ends up happening is after a couple of weeks, it actually creates more energy for your body and your mind, and you're sharper, you're clearer, you're ready to go. When I come out of the gym in the morning, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to get to it. And so some kind of exercise. And then a third thing is read, watch, or listen to something inspirational or motivational every day to start the day. Simple, 2 minutes, 5 minutes most. I'm not talking about a full, pick me up, audiobook or something like that. I'm talking about a quote. I'm talking about a cute little story, something you see on social media, whatever. Whatever it is that energizes you, whatever it is that makes you feel great, that's what you want. You want to get yourself in that mind frame where you're really feeling ready to go. You want to go to work. I mean, think about it for a minute. Have you had times in your life where you've just been kind of low energy, a little bit defeated, and then something simple happens? You're driving to work and you get a red light, or you get that bill in the mail that you weren't really expecting yet, or it was higher than what you thought it would be, or something around the house goes wrong and you just start, it's so overwhelming and you feel like, oh, the world's coming to an end. I can't even handle it. But then have you had the reverse also? Have you had those days where you just feel fantastic? You're on top of the world for whatever reason. And no matter what happens to you, you're like, yeah, whatever. You shrug it off and you keep going. That's all because you were in the right mental frame of mind. And it makes a huge difference. And let me take it beyond sort of the theoretical into something that's actually real world and tangible for you. If you work in a company or your business has employees or contractors or whatever, your energy level, your enthusiasm, your attitude are contagious to other people. They look to you to set the example. If you don't feel good, if you're not motivated, if you don't want to go to work and make a difference for your customers and for your clients or whatever, they're not going to either. They're not going to feel any sort of motivation, inspiration to do it. If you think about it, high achievers tend to have people around them that achieve high as well because they're constantly motivated. You kind of feel like you have to. You got to raise your own energy level to meet theirs. Because if you don't, you're going to get left behind. And that's really important. So do that. And if you can't do that, if you can't find something on a given day, at least spend a couple of minutes thinking about something that you're grateful for in your life. It could be the simplest thing in the world. It could be your cat, your dog, your fish, that letter that you got from a friend that you haven't talked to in 20 years. It doesn't matter what it is. It just has to be something that's going to get you in the right frame of mind. Now, if we shift a little bit to more of the tactical, a fourth thing that you can do is, and I found this also to be really important and also really difficult to start, tackle your high impact tasks first. Now, a lot of times when you start off your day, whether you've made a list or not, which I highly recommend you do, there's software you can use, whatever. I use Todoist, but I recommend that you have some sort of a way where you create a prioritized list of the things that you need to do the next day. And I don't get crazy with it. I spend 5 minutes setting it up. The night before, when I go to bed, I write out those things. Boom, I got them. When I hit the ground running the next day, I'm ready to go. But here's the thing. In any given day, you're going to have a bunch of stuff that doesn't really matter much, whether you do it or not. And usually that stuff is going to be more fun. Checking stats, researching some things online, looking this up, doing that, buying this new thing that you needed to get, even if it's for business. They're not going to impact your bottom line. They're not going to make you more sales. They're not going to get you more customers. Then there's usually a few things on your list, if we're being honest, that you don't really want to do. But in your heart of hearts, you know that these things are impact things. That if you knock this thing out, it's going to make more money for you. Writing a proposal for a new client. It might be drudgery to get that done, but you know if you get it done, it's really important because it can bring in more business. Spending the time to hire the right kind of people instead of just, trying to grab anybody who's available because you're busy. Any of those kinds of things, no matter what your business in, there's always some things that are high impact and some things that are low impact. Focus on the high impact things, knock those out first. And the reason for it is actually based in empirical evidence. You have more energy in the morning. You have a lot more reserves in terms of your ability to cope. And so if you knock those things out first, then the rest of the stuff is easy. And then you could choose to stay on that roll and start knocking out more big stuff. Or you could shift gears and you could say, you know what? I'm going to relax and do my fun stuff the rest of the day because I got this stuff done. Either way, it's up to you. But what's important about it is that the reverse is this. You come into work and you're not terribly motivated. So you're like, well, I'll check to see who won the game last night. And then I got to go check on this thing. And then let me read my email. And then I got to check to see if I got any new posts on Facebook or anything like that. So you do all that stuff. And then somebody comes in the office or somebody has a question or the phone rings and you get distracted. So now you look up and you're an hour and a half into your day. You've accomplished squat. And you got all of these elephants looming, that things that you need to get done. But now you don't really have a lot of energy left. So you're kind of like, well, I'm getting hungry. We're not that far away from lunch. I'll do this other thing and I'll just wait. And then I'll do that after lunch because I got all this time after lunch. And then something happens after lunch. And slowly but surely you push it off. So it gets to the end of the day. And then you got an hour and a half left to your going home or whatever. And you say to yourself, well, you know what? I'll just wait till tomorrow because it's too big of a thing to do today, right? So I'll just push it off till tomorrow. It's a really dangerous and negative habit to get into because if you do the reverse, your productivity will go through the roof, your results will go through the roof, your self-esteem and your confidence will go through the roof as well. And so those are 4 things I recommend. And then the last thing is to keep a journal. And this is something that sounds sort of touchy-feely and silly, but I can promise you, you will. A journal is so important, and I can tell you this from personal experience because I've had times in my life where I haven't kept one, and I've had times in my life where I have. And again, it's not a big deal. I like a notebook and a pen. If you want to do it online, that's fine. The important thing is you don't spend a lot of time on the setup of this stuff. The most important thing is that download where you're writing your stuff down that's important to you. And the things that you want to journal about are the way that you're feeling, what you're focusing on, what you're trying, and what your current level of results and business or status quo is. Because what this does for you is 2 really important things. Number 1, it gives you sort of a diary that you can go back and check and see that you've made progress. Funny thing about progress is, and if you have kids, this is so universal. You're with them every single day. So you don't really notice when they grow. You don't really notice that they're getting bigger. But every time you take them somewhere and someone hasn't seen them for a while, oh my God, your kids are so big. I can't believe how much they've grown. It's because you're too close to them. You're with them all the time, so you don't notice it. It's gradual. Your business, your life, your own personal abilities are the same way. There may be things that grow beyond just your revenue. There might be things in your business you're doing better than you ever were. But if you're so close to it every day and you don't have any ability to reflect on it, it's hard to see that. So months go by and you feel like you're spinning your wheels. You're not getting anywhere, right? So it's really important to journal so you have this record. But the other thing that it does, and this is equally important, is it internalizes things that you've been doing and it allows your mind to process them. Now, again, this might sound a little touchy-feely. If you're hey, I got to get down to work, I got to bang out my tasks type of person, you might think that this sounds a little froofy. But I'm telling you, I'm the same way. I'm productivity oriented. I like to get stuff done, but this absolutely makes a difference. I do this now. I make a habit of it. And I can tell you that I've seen a huge improvement in my business and in my own personal development as a business owner by doing this because it allows me to write down the things that I'm thinking about strategically. And as I move in a direction, I can then reflect and see if I'm getting closer to where I want to be or further away. And so keeping a journal is another really important and valuable thing. Try it for a week, try it for a month. If it doesn't make a difference for you, scrap it. But I promise you that it will. So hopefully one of those things at least you will take to heart and start embracing it and doing it. Hopefully all 5, because I think you'll see a huge difference in your business and I think you'll see it instantly, which is, even more important. But before we wrap up, I just want to share with you again that, I'm here to help you. That's the reason that I've started the Leverage Show, because I want to be there for you and help you with whatever your questions, challenges are. Share those with me. Share your feedback with me, and we'll tackle that stuff on upcoming episodes. So until next time, make it happen.